So it's another Tuesday, and this week no canteen cup. Well, I'm going to be eating in a canteen cup, but welcome to a new series called Oddly Shaped Container. And basically it's going to be food cooked in a cup or something like it. So this week I'm doing a trail meal, and what I'm making is chili. And I'm going to walk you through the whole process that I do, going from actually cooking the chili to getting it to this, and what I do once I'm out in the field, which is pretty simple. It's in a bag. I'm going to put hot water in it and rehydrate it. So first, let me show you how I got to this point, and then we'll come back to the rehydration and see how it tastes. All right, well, welcome to my kitchen. As small and dark as it is, I brought in one of my studio lights to help make it a little brighter in here. But so this is not always as easy as it may seem to be. When you see someone on a trail making a dehydrated meal, you think, oh, they just put in water and they're done and they can eat. That's true on the trail, but there's a lot more prep that goes into it when you're back at home. So for the chili, this is what we're going to need. All right. So obviously we're going to need some ground beef. Now this is 93% lean. All right, 92% lean. All right, so 92% lean beef. I've got two different kinds of beans here. I got black beans and I got red beans. I've got some tomato sauce and tomato paste. I've got some rotel. I got some chili mix. Obviously, I've got a spatula and a spoon. I've got some breadcrumbs, and you'll see why we've got those. And I got some black pepper because I like black pepper. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to open up these cans. I'm going to get all the cans of everything into my my big pot here, and then I'll fry up the beef. And I'll show you why the breadcrumbs are important when you're doing dehydrated meals. And this will be step one. This is a pretty cool little can opener. It's actually called the handy can opener. It cuts around the edges instead of inside the lid. And it's battery operated. It detects a magnet, and it'll just work on its own. There's rotel, tomato sauce, I'll add the chili mix. The heat turned on to medium heat. We just want to get this started while we're frying up the beef. Okay, so when you are going to be dehydrating ground beef with an R? No, ground beef. I don't know what you do with ground beef. Ground beef. You want to use the highest lean rating you can. So this is 92% lean. But you also want to add, you can measure if you like. I just put in a bunch of breadcrumbs into the beef as you're browning it. Now this is going to help soak up some of the fat and store it, but it's also going to make the beef easier to rehydrate once you're out on the trail. I don't know why it works, it just does. And I forget where I learned this from. I learned this from somebody that was making some food. So if somebody knows where this came from, let me know. I don't remember exactly. I watched a lot of videos and read a lot of stuff about dehydrating meals a couple years ago, and I picked that up at that point. I just don't remember exactly from where. All right, so this next step is actually very important. And you may be wondering why I'm using such a lean beef for this. The fat in beef, when you dehydrate it, if you're going to let it sit for a while, is really bad. That will actually start to spoil. So you want to get as much fat off this beef as you possibly can. So generally, you don't want to drain your beef in the sink, right? That's bad for your pipes. but in this instance we kind of have to. That's kind of why I put the breadcrumbs in there. It's one of the reasons why I like to do it, is it leaves a lot of that grease absorbed and easier to get through. But we got to rinse this beef off in hot water to get a little bit more of the fat off of there. So that's what we're going to do next. Now I've preheated this water, so it's hot immediately, and I'm just going to give it a real good rinse. So we are back in the frying pan, and then I'm going to put back on the stove. All right, so back on the stove, and I'm going to add some more breadcrumbs just because I rinsed some of them out. This will help soak up some of the water that's in there, and that's why we got it back on the stove. Not to cook it anymore, but to just kind of help, because we're going to dehydrate this, so that water is going to get sucked out of here anyway. Now you can do just beef this way. If you want to store beef for a while, you can just cook the beef like this, dehydrate it, put it in a vacuum bag, throw it in your freezer, and that way you've got beef ready and cooked if you just need it for something really quick. Next step in this process is to transfer the beef into the beans and tomatoes and sauce and paste and chili mix. Just going to mix this up really good, and then I'm going to get my green peppers, red peppers, and onions. Chop those up a little bit. All right, so got some peppers. These are already sliced. I'm going to chop them up a little bit more. I'm not going to use all of them because I'm going to have some for dinner tonight. But I'm going to use quite a bit of them. A couple more green peppers. And this doesn't need to be anything scientific. Just want to get these a little bit smaller because it will be dehydrating, and it helps. Okay, so that's the end of step one. I'm going to let this sit for about 25 minutes or 30 minutes or so on like a medium-high heat, low-medium heat, I guess. Just to cook it a little bit, get the vegetables and everything to kind of soften up a little bit. And then I'm going to have a little for dinner tonight. And then the rest of it's going to go in the refrigerator overnight. And then we'll go to the dehydrating part tomorrow. Now the reason why I let it sit overnight when I can is it just helps all the flavors kind of combine. So I will leave it in this pot here. I'll leave it in this pot and then just throw it in the refrigerator after I get done eating what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. And then the rest I'll dehydrate and have for backpacking or just in the refrigerator for a quick meal. Somebody just walked by my door. All right, now on to the next step. Now this refrigerating process you could skip. I do it for the chili, just so all the flavors mix together, and I do find that helps. But if you're in a hurry and you don't have an extra day to do this, then skip this step. It's optional. I've already got my dehydrator running over here. This is running. Get a little light on there. This is running. I don't have a whole lot of counter space in my kitchen, as you can tell. That's it. That's all the counter space I have. So I've got my dehydrator just sitting on a plastic outdoor table. It works. Not great. Not the greatest thing to look at, but it works. So that's already running and heating up. I've got my trays ready here. These are ready to go. Now what I'm using, my dehydrator is a, let me get a little better angle on that. There we go. It's a Presto Dehydro. It's only got one temperature setting, one speed. You just plug it in and let it go. So for something like this, I usually let it dehydrate between 12 and 18 hours, depending on how thick the sauce is or how watery the sauce is. This might take closer to 18 hours because of how thick I made the sauce. I put tomato paste in there. So we'll see. It's just after noon. It's just after 12 o'clock right now, 12 noon. So I'm going to let this go all day and until tomorrow morning. And if it's not ready, I'll let it go a little more. I'll be leaving for a short overnight backpacking trip on Saturday, so I got plenty of time. And this will make quite a few meals. Now, I did try some of this last night. It's really, really good. Of course, I made it, so I think it's really good, which is encouraging because that means it's going to be pretty good out on a trail too. So let's go to the refrigerator. Got all my magnets on my refrigerator. A lot of places I've been, I get magnets or stickers for. There's some channel stickers that people have sent me. And I'll grab the chili. And I don't know if I'll dehydrate all this. I might keep some of it for dinner tonight, which will be good. Oh, it smells good. All right, let me reposition the camera here. Okay, so I'll take the lid off and put that off to the side. And I've already got these trays set up. So they're in the right order. I can just stack them right on the dehydrator. They are different shapes so that they stack easy. And I've already got the trays in there. These are, they call these like Paraflex or Para something. They're just plastic, no stick trays that go into the dehydrator trays for things like this. If you're making like a tomato sauce leather, where you just dehydrate the tomato sauce and you break it up, you know, that's really good for spaghetti. Or something like this, like chili, that's kind of that would drip through this. This is just like a grate. You use these trays, and they clean up really, really easy. These didn't come with the dehydrator. You gotta get these separately, but they're pretty cheap. So the next step is just taking the chili. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit so anything that's settled mixes back together. And I'm just gonna start dishing it out onto this tray and trying to keep it as thin a layer as possible. The thinner the layer, the easier it dehydrates. And you can see this is pretty thick, so alright, so that's pretty good for one tray. Put that right in the dehydrator. Alright, so just going to dehydrate all of it. And then even if I'm not using the last tray, I always put it on anyway. And I just put the lid on. And there we go. Alright, so now I got all the trays in here. Got all my chili in there. I just dehydrated all of it. I'll just have something else for dinner. I don't want to get sick of it before I hit the trail. There we go. And I always put the empty tray on if I got one. Just A, because I don't have anywhere else to put it. And B, I don't know, maybe it helps with airflow or something like that. Who knows? So now it's just a waiting game. Wait for that to dehydrate. So in a couple hours, I'll take those trays and I'll stack them differently, rotate them through so that they all get equal time down at the lowest point. And then I'll check it tomorrow. Dehydrating is a waiting game, but it makes it so much easier out on the trail. All right, so see you tomorrow. Okay, so now the food has been dehydrated. This did sit all night. So this is all dehydrated. And what I did is throughout the course of the day, I would rotate these trays around and take the bottom one, put on the top, just keep on rotating them through, just so the airflow is even. And then about halfway through, I took these trays and then I broke them up and I flipped over the chili. And you can see how dry this is now. This is perfect. So what I'm going to do is take all this broken up chili, all the dehydrated chili. I'm going to put it into a big container. I'm going to use my pot here to make it easy. And then we're going to put it into Ziploc bags. So let me move this over. Put this here. And a lot of times you can just take the trays and bend them a little bit. Now make sure I get all this. This is, it looks like nothing, but that's actually all your chili seasoning. So I try to get as much of that as possible. All right, so now that you get all of your dehydrated chili in the bowl, let's kind of break it up a little bit. Now it is kind of important to note that I wait until the dehydrator is cooled down. So I unplugged it, I let it sit for about an hour. This is all cooled off, and because we're going to put it in bags, and if it stays warm and you throw it in the freezer, you could get condensation, which kind of defeats the purpose of dehydrating it. So next what we're going to do, we're going to kind of divvy this up into 1 cup servings and put it in some Ziploc bags. Now, these are Ziploc freezer bags. They are BPA free, so I can actually throw these in the freezer and then cook in these at camp as well. I also try to limit the amount that I touch the food, not that it's dirty, but any oils or anything on your hands will get onto the food and it can cause it to spoil if it sits for too long. There's 1 cup. So this last one's only about a half a cup. So what I'll do with a smaller one like this is I will I'll mark it like lunch or something like that with a Sharpie, and I'll mix this with ramen noodles. And that way I still get a decent meal, and I get some extra ramen noodles out of it as well. So even with eating like 2 pretty big bowls of this on the night I made it, I still get 3 full meals and then a lunch. So 4 meals out of that. And I'm going to take some of this extra, the dehydrated, the powder that's in here, and I'm going to put it into a couple of these others. As you can see in here, there's still some. This will rehydrate into the sauce. So I'll try to mix that up and spread it out through the other bags. All right, so these are all bagged up and ready to go. The next step is to throw these in the freezer until I'm ready to pack up. Now, if I was going to keep these longer, I'd vacuum seal the bags, but I'm going to use a couple of these this weekend, and I'll probably use these all within a week or 2. So in the freezer, they'll be fine. So once on the trail, all I need to do is throw one of these in my reflective pouch, add some hot boiling water, let it sit for about 10 minutes or so, and then I've got chili. And that'll be the next thing we see out on the trail.
Oh, look, you got a glove.
Well, you gotta pick this up somehow. It's gonna be hot. Smoke right in my eye. I can't see. Okay. So water is boiled, and quick tip, never grab the lid from the canteen cup with your bare hand when it comes out of the fire. It's hot. So all I'm going to do is add the water, and it's about a cup of water, at least I hope. I'm going to, that thing is hot. And that's it. I'm going to stir it up, let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, and hopefully I'll have chili. Yeah, it's definitely hot. Okay, so I have let this sit for about 10 minutes, and that is what we got.
Wow, that's pretty warm.
I don't know if you can really see that, but that is some chili right there in that bag. Is it coming through? Nice. So I leave it in the pouch, or I could put it in my canteen cup, but right now there's a little beer in there, so I'll eat it thanks to Dragon. And let's see.
Be a bad influence once in a while.
He is a bad influence. Let's see how this tastes. So I don't know if you can see that in there. Say it's it wants to stay level. But here we go. Yeah, it turned out good. I didn't do it. Sometimes you do the sauce as a leather, and you just crumble it in there. But as you saw when I showed you, I did it all as one dehydrated big mess and it broke it up. But putting it all together like that, even the peppers and the onions rehydrate it really well, which is usually a problem. So that is my my camp chili. Give it a try. I'll put all the ingredients down in the description below. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next.